here today. And you guys, if you don't know, I mean, who doesn't know Keith McKinney? But if you don't know Keith McKinney, you're going to see why he is my brother from another mother. I mean, I met Keith, I don't know how many years ago, Keith, I've lost track.
Actually,
We
the
met
years have gone by quickly.
and I don't even know how we ended up meeting, but we were at Sales Central.
Yeah, and we were both exhausted. We
were.
It was like one of the last days of the show. I had been running around all week. You had, and we were just kind of sitting on the couch, and we were like, "Hey, what do you do?" I don't know. What do you do?
So it was, it was early on in the years of going to the Builder Show, and ever since it was like I have to get my annual hug from Keith, and then he moved to Florida, so in theory I get to see him more often.
In theory, COVID put a damper on that for the past couple of years, but we made up for it at SEBC. We had lunch.
We had lunch there, so yeah, that was good. So it's COVID put the kibosh on a lot of our getting together, but I have hope now. I'm like, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just hoping it's not a oncoming train. So,
Yep.
and Carrie says she is with us in Florida too. So, welcome to Florida. You're probably a little bit warmer than we are here, but not so much. It's like 52 degrees here. And for those of you from the frozen tundra up north, okay, that's cold in Florida. So they laugh at us. They just laugh at us. Has your blood gotten thinner since you moved to Florida, Keith?
It has definitely gotten thinner. It is. I went back to Denver a couple of weeks ago, and I was like bundled up with a sweater, undershirt, a jacket, and a thermal. Like I was already struggling. So my blood has definitely gotten thinner, no doubt. Yeah, Carrie, I'm a wimp, and I'm willing to admit it. I sure am.
Yeah, I was up in her neck of the woods, but I lucked out. It wasn't horribly cold when I was up there just a few weeks ago. So it was right before, and then I went to Wyoming. So, and I lucked out there too. So I don't know how much my luck is going to hold, but I am hoping it's a little cooler for IBS. So we'll see. So for those of you, we are talking about the Builder Show. It's coming up. Keith and I are speaking together at the Builder Show. So we are excited about that. I hope you will join us on Tuesday morning at 9:15. So 9:15, make sure you look it up on your on the education, put that in your show planner. We expect to see a whole bunch of people there and smiling faces. We need the love and support. So make sure that that you are there for us, and it's going to be a fantastic show. I know it may not be as well attended as years past, but that's okay, because the people who are there are going to be there for a reason, and they're going to be there to learn and grow and build their business. Debbie Boyd wants it to be in the high 70s. So your odds are good, Debbie, because it pretty much has been in the 70s here, every day of winter in Florida. So
yeah, I can't promise you a beach day, Debbie, but it'll be warm.
Yeah, it'll be warm compared to where you are, because you guys have had a lot of cold. So let's see what's going to pop up here. So I'm going to kick it off here, it looks like. And let me just tell you a little bit about me and what I do and what I'm looking forward to here in 2022. And then I will turn it over to Keith to do his intro. And then we've got, if we get through this pre-show, everything we went through in the pre-show, I'm just, we're optimistic, Keith.
Well, we will remain optimistic. Yeah.
Yes. So, 30s. Yeah. So 70s is perfect. Yeah. Everybody you'll love Florida. It's always great in the wintertime. It's why we live here. So my company is newhomesolutions.com, and people think that I'm a sales trainer. That's what most people think I am. And they're not wrong. I am a sales trainer. But what I really do is I help businesses to grow so that sales is the engine that drives the train rather than running it off the tracks. So people think, oh, more sales, sales solves everything. No, it doesn't solve everything, because you still have to build them, and you still have to have a great customer experience while you're building them. So I make sure that the builders have all of that back end, those parts and the pieces to support the sales and make sure those sales are profitable. I also just last week working with a builder, he had like everybody else, lumber supply shortages. He's wrestling with how much of this can I eat and how much of a price increase do I need to take. And we're looking at things based on how many sales does he need in Q1 to make sure that he has his pipeline filled for the rest of the year. So, we're balancing that whole need for the sales as well as how much profitability. And we worked out a schedule that then makes sense both to his bottom line as well as his schedule, and doesn't overwhelm the builders so that he can have a great customer experience. So that's what I do. And I really help to make sure all those parts and pieces are there for you. So if I can help you with that, this is where to find me. You can learn more at newhomesolutions.com. So, and now Keith, your business on the scale that you guys do it is just crazy unique. So we have a lot of smaller companies that do something sort of similar, but tell us about New Home Star.
Well, you said the right word, scale. What New Home Star is, we're a national sales and marketing company for new home builders. So builders that are looking to grow, and you said the right word, Kimberly, scale, that want to scale in multiple markets and in multiple states and everything else, but have the challenge of, okay, how do I start a sales team? And I got to go find a manager, and I got to go, like, all the stressors of the sales engine that makes the thing go. How does a builder begin who might have done great operationally in their market? They have the financial backing, they have the line of credit, they have the land guys, they have everything else lined up, but they said, oh my gosh, how are we gonna, I got to go start a sales team and put all of this in the trust of some stranger I got to go hire, and whether it goes or not, it depends on that. Well, New Home Star becomes an option. And Dave Rice, the founder of New Home Star, just put New Home Star financially in a business model that allows us to go with these builders as they scale their business in multiple areas. And that's what has allowed us to be so successful over the past 13 years and grow to the point of where we are today. So that's who New Home Star is, and what we try to do. And same thing as Kimberly, people meet me, oh, you're a sales trainer. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I can do that all day and on Sunday, but there's a whole lot more to this business than just sales training. And you got to talk about, and one of the joys I have is collaborating with folks like Kimberly Mackey, Melanie Mickey. Hey, Melanie, and all the great people that are in this industry, because that's what builds our industry and makes it so great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and your official title is VP of the world, or?
Yeah, I got a couple of my New Home Star people on here, and they Aaron Clark and Victoria are probably laughing their butt off. Yeah, I am the VP of Swiss Army Knife, like whatever you want to call me. I like technically it's VP of Organizational Development, and that just makes sure our whole organization. I am VP of making sure the French fry tastes the same. If you go to McDonald's at a McDonald's in the Pacific Northwest, and you go get a French fry in Key West, Florida, that French fry better stay the same. That's my job, is making sure everywhere we operate, it stays and looks the same.
As long as I can still dip that French fry in a key lime pie if I'm in Key West. So,
fries in a key. I'm writing that down.
You got to have good key lime pie. So from Key West.
Okay.
And then, of course, this is not a webinar, so we are not going to have slides, but I could not let this go without sharing what I have coming up on March 8th with the amazing Bassam Salem from Atlas RTX. So if you have not met Bassam, you're missing. You want to talk about a fantastic story. He has just an incredible immigrant story, a rags to riches story, and he is the king of artificial intelligence in our industry. So we're going to talk about how to make it sexy and personal. So please please, if you didn't register for what's coming up, I encourage you to go back and do that, or you can always go to newhomesolutions.com/head-to-head, and that'll get you right to where you need to register. So I am going to get out of this and stop sharing my screen so that now we can just focus on one another and getting through our topics. So breathe, deep breath. All right. Let's kick it off with a big one, Keith. Let's talk about what makes a great salesperson.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Well,
just right out of the gate. Boom.
Well, this is one that'll take us like, oh, we could like do, speaking of sales training, we could talk about this for a week.
Yeah.
And 5-hour sessions. But to put it simple, like when I was thinking of this question to save time, I think it's a combination of ownership and collaboration. If you have a heart of ownership and the willingness to also collaborate, and you have a delicate balance of those two things, that is going to make you a great salesperson, because that ownership side is what makes you show up to work. You and I were talking about this. What makes you show up to work every day and put in all the work, because you feel like it's your business. It's your franchise. Your builder is giving you a store for you to take care of. So that ownership is what makes you do all the other things, all those other traits that we could throw out there of great attitude and work ethic and willingness to get it done and problem, like all of that falls into, if I have great ownership, that's what's going to push me towards that. And then the collaboration keeps you humble enough to where you don't think you do it all yourself, and you still collaborate with the marketing department. You still collaborate with great sales trainers. You still collaborate with great sales strategists, and you try to learn and understand what you can do to help your business grow. So I tried to simplify this as much as I could to 2 words. And I just came up with ownership and collaboration, because the two are kind of the yin and yang, because, collaborate deals with a bunch of people and ownership is more one-on-one. And like those two things, if you balance those two things, that's what I'm looking for in a great salesperson. I don't know. What about you, Kim?
Yeah, Leah Fellows likes that. She said that's a great way to sum it up. So yeah, I agree. I think those two things, owning something, you just think about it differently when you own it. There's a pride of ownership, and you're always constantly striving to make it better. Where if you're just renting something, or you're just, it's somebody else's business and you just work there, there's a complete difference in attitude. So I love that. I love the ownership. I think a great salesperson has to be curious. I think they have to be very curious, because we get to do something pretty darn incredible when you think about it. And I know, it sounds a little cheesy, but truly, you're helping people to build the American dream. You're helping people to have a slice of the pie. Most wealth in America is tied up in the ownership of their primary home. Not even just real estate; it's their home. And a home is more than just an investment. It's your home. It's where you live. It's where your memories are made. It's where you raise your children. It's your pets, your family, and all those wonderful memories. And that's pretty cool if you think about it, that we get the opportunity to do that. So to me, that's very humbling. But those people who are curious know that it's about the buyer and their family and what's important to them. And if you ask great questions and you don't just take the first answer, because it's like peeling back that onion, right? You got to keep peeling those layers till you really get to that why. Those are the people. I don't want the people who think they have all the answers. Just don't want them. I've interviewed them and I've turned them down, and I went, don't care what your track record says, because if you think you have all the answers, this is not going to be the job for you. It's instead the people who have the right questions that I think are the ones that make great salespeople. So they're humble, they're going to get after it, they're going to be curious, they're always going to be learning. And as Bob Schultz used to say, that if you don't confuse the size of your paycheck with your abilities.
Yeah, and funny thing is, I was literally going to say, you and I grew up in this business with the same mentors and looking up to the same people when Tom Ritchie and Bob Schultz and Nikki Joy and all of those greats
Yep.
were running around sales training. And I was the guy who was curious. Like, I didn't know, I had never sold anything before new home sales. Like, I learned everything in this business. And when they would come to my builder and do a 2-day seminar, I wouldn't let them eat lunch. I was like with my notebook asking them questions because it was that curiosity in me that was just so fascinating. Like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this better? How do I do like, and I never thought of that, but it's the curiosity in somebody that makes you want to learn and learn more. So that I think absolutely, I think it's great.
Yeah, to me, that's the number one. And then, I think you have to have tenacity too. So that
Yeah.
stick to itiveness, right? So, if you are you'll stick to it, you won't give up, because the late great Bill Herring used to say, and I love and miss Bill Herring, but he would say, this is a business where you get up every day and you dress in your Sunday finest. Now, maybe not so much anymore, but we used to. We used to dress in our Sunday finest. We'd go out into a world that was going to tell us no 9 times out of 10. And that takes some stick to itiveness. That takes that tenacity and that ability to look for the yeses and not worry so much about the nos, and understand that your job and your proper, your community, your homes, that's not going to be for everybody. You got to find the ones that it is.
Yeah. And listen, finding a great new home salesperson is harder now than it was before. I mean, you and I were just talking about how the new millennials are entering into the workforce, and the challenges of making sure the workplace is conducive for this new age of worker that's coming in, and the different mindsets. And so looking for that curiosity along with that sense of ownership, let's just keep it real. That's not going to be easy that you can find in a 1 or 2 hour interview and say, that's good, let's hire them. Like, if you don't have a better hiring process, you might want to relook at that and rethink it.
Absolutely. I have a pre-interview questionnaire that I start with. And if people are not, people self-select themselves right out of my process. So I might get 50 resumes, but only 5 will fill out the pre-interview questionnaire. If they won't work to get the job, they're certainly not going to work when they have the job.
Right.
So, I want somebody who understands that new home sales is hard work. So they've got to do that. And it tells me so much about them. So right away, I learn a little bit about their backstory. I see their communication style, kind of their viewpoint. How do they look at things? Are they optimistic? Are they curious? Are they asking good questions as part of it? Or are they just telling me stuff? It just really tells you a lot. And I do think you need a very thorough vetting process. A lot of builders go, well, I don't have time for that. Wait a minute. Let's really think about this. You don't have time to put the right person to represent your company and millions of dollars worth of property and homes. This is where you need to focus your energy.
Hey, I've heard this quote, and I love this quote. Dave Rice, our founder, uses this quote all the time. You can pay now or you can pay later.
Absolutely.
But either way, you're going to pay. So you either pay the cost of taking your time and finding the right person, or you're going to pay the cost of hiring the wrong person. So, but either way, you're going to pay. So just pick your poison and go do the one that's going to be best for you.
It's the same advice we give great salespeople, right? Slow down to go faster.
Yes,
when you spend the time up front, you're going to have that better fit. You're going to have a better hire. And you've got to then nurture those people. So I know we had, I thought the Q&A was turned off, but Melanie found it for us. So her question, as a sales leaders, what does it take to encourage and support the ownership and collaboration? Whew, yeah.
Man, the biggest thing is and this is, I guess this is a great lead in. Melanie's all in our question to our second question of accountability.
Yeah.
You have to spend time with them.
Wait, what?
I,
Are
I,
you saying that sales happen in the field and sales leaders need to be in the field with their people?
I don't know. Just call me stupid, or maybe I'm imagining things, but to encourage ownership and collaboration, they need somebody to collaborate with. And if they don't collaborate with the person who hired them and who's supposed to be giving them daily direction, they're going to collaborate with the wrong people. So they need to collaborate with their supervisor. And you do that by spending time with them. And I know, okay, if there's any on here, I'm sorry, guys, but our division presidents and our builder owners, oh, I know they have really important things they want to grab onto us sales leaders about, and we got to sit in meetings all day at the corporate office, and that is what they're used to. But man, the struggle is real on trying to make everyone understand, as a sales leader, your best contribution to the organization is you being out in the field with your people.
Absolutely. So I had a division president when I worked for one of the largest builders in the US, who told me when I first joined, and I showed up, and I had come from another large publicly traded builder. I had an allowance for my office. Like, I could bring in a decorator. I had this really nice posh office, and place to train and places to do consultations. So I show up for this one, and she goes, "Here's your cubicle." And I went, "Excuse me, what?" She goes, "Here's your cubicle." Right next to like all this chaos and everything. And I just kind of looked at her, and she goes, "Get out and stay out." This is like day 2 on the job. And I'm like, what? Best advice I ever got. Get out and stay out. I mean, at the time, and this is how old I am, people. Okay. So they just retired Blackberries last week. I had my Blackberry, had my laptop. What else did I need? That in her view, and absolutely that was right. That's where I needed to be, out in the field all day, every day. Stop laughing at me, Leah Fellas. She's laughing at me over Blackberry. But I had Blackberry thumb, man. I could type like a banshee on that thing. So, but if you're out there, your sales team gets to, oh yeah, when everybody can beep you wherever you are. Remember when they all merged together? I got beeped in Hawaii one time with somebody, and the young people on here going, "What do you mean you got beeped?" It was worse than text messaging. It was text messaging with voice, where people could just like shout at you through your phone and just start talking to you randomly. It was horrible. So, but anyway, back to what I'm saying. So when you get out and you are working with your team in the field, they get to the point that they go, "Oh my gosh, Kimberly, I'm so glad you're here." They're prepared for you. They know you're coming. You know you're going to do a planned encounter. They've got a list. They've got a Kimberly list of all the support that they need. And they're so used to me being there that I could be a fly on the wall, and I can actually hear them and help them without interrupting. Do not interrupt the sales process. You sit and you listen, but you do not interrupt. And tell people what they're doing right. Praise people for doing things well. We want to celebrate what's going well in people's worlds. This job is hard enough without somebody who's constantly coming in and going, you could have done. That's not what I'm talking about doing. So, but I had a salesperson. Her name was Donna, and she went to a sales training. We had this big company, like fly everybody to Dallas, Texas training, and she learned some new processes. And she was so excited about all these processes. She came back and she tried to implement them all at one time. Well, all of a sudden I noticed, I'm like, Donna's sales are going down. I don't know what's happening here. But as I'm spending time in the field with her, I realized right away she was so focused on implementing all of these things at one time, rather than taking one, getting comfortable with it, and then adding it in layers, that she forgot to be Donna. And she comes in, and I'm sitting in the spare office there, or the second office, and she said, "I don't know what I'm doing wrong." And she just looks at me, and she's got tears in her eyes. And I said, "Don't cry. you know what, you've got this. I can tell right away what's going on here. I'm so thrilled that you're applying all of these things and that you're so open to learning. But let me give you permission to still be Donna. Use these things, but be you, because you're the only Donna here. And you bring these wonderful gifts. And when I shared with her the wonderful gifts that she brought to our company, it was pretty incredible that you could just see the shoulders just relaxed. She started breathing better. You know, she was like, huh, I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And that sales pace went right back up.
And so, until Melanie's point, that's the collaboration part. And through the collaboration, when you leave, when the collaboration is over and now they're in their own element, that's when the ownership, the confidence of ownership then sets in. And now they feel like, okay, I'm empowered to really own this thing and now really show the builder and my manager what I can do when I'm out here making it happen on my own. So that's how those two, and then, man, the curiosity, that was just such a good bomb, Kimberly. That curiosity is what continues to make that drive always remain. It's what has me and you still going to IBS and cornering people and saying, what's going on in your market? What's going on in your market? So we can learn and grow, and we can learn from guys like Ben Marks, who's doing a completely different side of the business, but seeing a completely different thing. And we're collaborating together so that way when we all go to our separate corners, we can have ownership and do what we do best. And that's what's still amazing, that it still pushes everybody, no matter where you are in your career.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always, Carrie sent out today a thing about the importance of reading. And, you know, yes, absolutely. When you read, and I read a couple of hours every single day. People say to me, oh, you're wasting your time. No, I'm not wasting my time. The fact that I spend time every morning and every evening, I read them about an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, sometimes more. And then on the weekends, I'm also reading. That is what allows me to be good at my job. You've got to put good stuff in. Again, you have to be curious and put that good stuff in. I don't want to get away from our accountability point without saying you don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect, as our friend Jeff Shore has reminded us numerous times. Set expectations with your sales team. Your sales team should never be surprised. They should always know what's the budget and how does that compare to their personal goals. Have you done that exercise with them so that we have both a budget and a goals, and we're measuring. You've got to have key metrics so people know how they're doing. How are they doing as a percentage of their goal on a weekly basis, on a monthly, on a quarterly, and on an annual basis? And this, to me, is at the very top of every planned encounter form that I use. I want to know, how are you doing as a percentage of goal? Are we getting there? Because people need to know where they are. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you are. There's no map in between those two areas if you don't have that starting point.
And when you're driving accountability, here's the thing, and this is hard. Okay, sales leaders, this is hard. This is hard because we all have hearts. We hired these people. We care a lot about these folks. But when it comes to accountability, you have to draw a line of no compromise. Okay, there's a football term that football coaches use called death by inches. Like, if it's 4th and inches and you don't get that inch, you still turning the ball over. And when you have an accountability, and I every time I walk into a model home, the first thing I do is I walk the model home, and they said, hey, and they always call each other. They know I'm coming, and they say, hey, McKinney's coming. You better walk your model home, because I tear it apart. Because I was trained that your model home is the first representation of you, and it should be perfect. Now, are you going to get it perfect all the time? But if the curtains aren't straight, the pillows aren't fluff, if there's a little spider web over in the corner and you can tell it's been there for months, whatever it is, when you walk your model home, it should be perfect. And that's the first indication for me Like if they're not walking the model home, light bulbs, Christy,
Light
yes.
bulbs. Oh, turn the light and have them and turn them on.
Have them turned on. Like it, everybody says, oh, well, that's just one thing. No, but if they won't do that, how are they making their weekly calls to their customers? I doubt it. Are they doing their
Right.
addendums the way they're supposed to, completely filled out with numbers all accurate? I doubt it. Like that's what drives the accountability, is when you don't compromise. Now, I don't say when you catch it and it's not up to par that you don't do it with love and you say, okay, come on, let's do this together. Let's like you
To help
still
them to understand
do,
the importance.
help them to understand, but don't compromise and say, oh, well, this is good enough for today. Just make sure you get it straight next week. When you do that, you are dropping that line of accountability every single time. And so when it comes to accountability, no matter what it is, make sure you keep and you hold that accountability standard, because you don't ever want that to decrease.
You have to, when you have metrics and you have your minimum performance expectations that you lay out as part of a contract when you hire a new salesperson, it becomes not about who do you like. You may have this wonderful person that you really like, but they're not doing the job. Well, now that gives everybody else the excuse not to do the job. So sometimes the best thing you can do if someone is just not cut out for this job is to let them go find what they are cut out for. Especially in today's market, people can get a job today. There are lots of jobs out there. This is something, it is a passion, it's a calling. It's, I don't know what you want to say about it, but it's sometimes it's more important to help someone along their path if this is not going to be the right one. Now help them, give them the tools. You've got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and go, I did everything I could to support this person.
Right. Right. And I just counseled a sales leader yesterday where this person, they have verbally told them, they have told them in writing to do a specific thing, and they just refuse to do it. Like they just refuse to do it. But this person has the best attitude on the whole team. They're just a delight to be around. They're when in the sales meeting, they're always the joy of the sales meeting, but they won't do the job. So I'm sorry, like by allowing that can continue, you are dropping the accountability standard of your entire team. And that is the effect that you can't have as a sales leader.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, we got to help this person go find another place that will fit what exactly they're looking for. Because obviously this isn't it.
No, it's not. And I've had to let go top producers because they wouldn't show up on time for meetings. They wouldn't show up on time for work. Oh, well, they're top producer. So, and I'm like, but they weren't there until noon. So your store front was closed. So if the store is closed, I mean, the number one rule of selling people is show up. Just show up. Sales will happen just because you're a body in the way, So that's not what it's about. It's you've got to have those performance expectations, and you have to manage those performance expectations. And if you aren't sure what minimum performance should look like, I'm happy to help you with that. I'm sure Keith's happy to help you with that. But it's a contract. We expect people to be adults, but we expect to also have to help them and to let them know what we expect out of them. It's not fair to just throw somebody out there. I remember back in the day when I first started in new home sales, and it was, here's the keys, Mackey, go sell something. Not everybody is going to be me. Not everybody's going to figure it out.
Right.
And not everybody's going to have that stick-to-itiveness that I mean, the bruise on my forehead, man, you want to see? Do you see how nice and smooth my forehead is? It's not because of Botox. It's because I banged my head so many times. It just flattened out those wrinkles. So, not everybody's gonna do that. We could go on about this all day, but use your metrics, measure out what, how many sales, how many phone calls they need to make, how much follow-up they need to do. How many realtors they need to, what kind of outreach do they need to do? What kind of referrals should they be bringing in? If they aren't bringing in those referrals, what are the things that they need to do to increase that? How many appointments are they having every week? I measure appointments. Everything I do is based on 10, 5, 2, 1. It's a formula that I use. You guys, if you follow me, you know I talk about it all the time. But on average, we know that we need 10 prospects every week to get 5 first appointments, 2 secondary appointments, be back appointments, if you will. So second, third, fourth, whatever it is, because you didn't get it across the finish line the first time. And that leads to 1 sale per week. And in my world, that's 50 sales a year, because you get 2 weeks off for vacation that you'll be able to take in Hawaii if you're getting your 50 sales a year. So, everything is based on that.
Quick head-to-head plug on metrics. You don't want to miss the next one with Bassam, because his whole program is based on accountability and metrics. So don't put that in your calendar. You don't want to miss that one.
And he has the artificial intelligence to measure it. and the real intelligence to measure it too. Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. We have how do you recommend leadership analyze their own performance as leaders and create a company culture that retain? Oh, that's a whole new, Leah. That's a whole new.
Leah's trying to start up a new webinar now. Like she's trying to start a whole nother thing.
So
wow.
So I will tell you, Leah, I have started a new program with my builders that I'm super excited about. And it's an accountability program. It's even, how do we run meetings? What do our scorecards look like? What metrics are we going to measure? It's so darn cool. And 2 of my builders introduced me to it. One of them introduced me to it at this level. And then I have another one that really got me into it at the granular level. And I am now, I am all on board with this. So that's a whole new webinar on leaders. Everybody in the company should have minimum performance expectations. So you need to know, you need to be able to measure yourself, and the company needs to be able to measure, how are you doing against your goals? So every single position in the company should have metric, and that includes admins, that includes closing coordinators, it includes your purchasing department, it includes your CFO, your COO. I mean, everybody should have those metrics and be able to look at on a quarterly basis, how are we doing with our 90 days, our 90-day goals? How are we reaching those? And what are the to-dos on holding ourselves accountable? Because if you're not holding yourself accountable and the company is playing favorites over here and sliding people around just because they like them, and this person gets a special perk and that person, it doesn't matter how you hold your sales team accountable or your construction team accountable out in the field, because they see it in the office. So really great point, Leah. Thank you. Yes, everybody in the company. This doesn't just apply to salespeople. So let's talk about setting up teams. So, all right, how do you feel, Keith, about a competitive floor where the salespeople are selling, each person on their own, versus that sales team where everybody gets a cut of the pie? Oh.
Okay, you did say this is head to head, so I'm gonna just go.
Yeah, let's go, dude.
I'm gonna just go. A team floor, and for those that are trying to, team floor means a shared floor. Some call it shared floor, team floor, where 2 agents or 3 agents are going to share commissions no matter who sells the home. I believe a team floor is acceptable, but there needs to be history and time need to be built into a team floor, in my experience. And when I say history and time, like if me and Kimberly Mackey were partners in the same community that was a master plan community with 5,000 lots, and it was just me and her, and over 2 years, she did 45 sales, I did 48. The next year she did 49, I did 47. And there's a pretty even matched individual ownership in the community. And me and Kimberly said, you know what? Our families have went on vacation. We've hung out together. We know each other. We should partner up. And we go to our manager. To me, that is a historical good situation where a manager could take a step back, look at the runway of the community and say, potentially this makes sense. What I'm seeing a lot of is, okay, we got this brand new community. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be rock'em sock'em. We're going to get 2 brand new people and put them in there and they're going to share floor. I think that is a absolutely disastrous idea. Yes, that is a disastrous idea. So in general, I think a competitive floor for the majority of all new home sales models, a competitive floor pulls out the best in a new home salesperson, especially if they have ownership and they're really trying to do something special for their own initiatives and their family and all the goals they want to reach in life. That pushes them to be the best they can be every day. And as a guy who played collegiate athletics, hey, when you get to be a sophomore, you can't sit there and say, oh yeah, this is great. No, because remember last year you were the freshman who wanted to take his job. Well, now as a sophomore, there's another freshman behind you that wants to take your job. So there is an internal fire that builds that says, I'm not going to let somebody take my job. So there's that internal competitiveness that happens when you have a competitive floor that pulls out, hopefully, if you're out in the field, positively creates a good culture and a good competitive spirit that pulls out the best in everybody. So that is my non-adult beverage laden rant about competitive versus team floors. Now, if you want to get real robust about it, catch us at IBS and we can go it. We can do it.
Yeah, in the evening over a cocktail for sure. So, but now on team, when it's everybody's job, it's nobody's job.
Right. Ooh.
So
say that again, please.
So
wait,
when it's everybody's job, it's nobody's job. So you get people who no longer take ownership. And what else happens is they say, oh, well, I thought Keith was going to do that. Oh, Keith goes, no, I thought Kimberly was going to do that. Yeah, no, that's not the way things work around here. So everybody has to have ownership of it. So you better have very clearly defined delineations of duty. You know, what am I going to be accountable for and what are you going to be accountable for? Everyone needs to have their own metrics. And I agree with you, Keith. If you've got an experienced team that has worked together for a long time and they're kind of the yin and the yang of each other, one of them's good at this and the other one's good at that, and you've seen that in a partnership or a competitive environment, and they want to do that, but you will see sales go down. Sales will go down.
Absolutely will.
Yeah,
it absolutely will. And this goes back to accountability. Leah just said it. How are you going to, what metrics are you going to use? You just pull 2 separate metrics and lump them together. So how can you individually know how either one of them are individually doing?
right.
And so that's the other thing that becomes a challenge for a leader, is that now, if the time ever comes where that community is not performing and you got to make a change, you potentially got to make a change with 2 people.
Yep.
Instead of just going to handle and see what you got to do to encourage and change the behavior of 1, because you have no metrics, because you decided to pull all of their metrics and their accountability together. So it sounds like an easy solution for a sales manager or a leader, just to, oh, they're awesome, and that's going to make them both happy, and they'll stop calling me and they'll both be happy, and I'll hit my quota from my division president and it'll all be good. Yeah, you're again, you can pay now or you pay later, but either way, sooner or later you're gonna pay. Like it's just that thing.
So, and then the goal here is that when you have those minimum performance expectations and you put people who are team minded, now I still want team minded people because we are a sales team, we're not sales individuals. That we're going to cover for each other. So I had partnerships when I was in on-site sales that were fantastic. I had this amazing partner. We covered for each other. If I could take my days off. You want people who will cover for each other and understand it's the builder's customers. let's take care of them first. So you also need to have a system in place for that to happen. Really think these things through based on your area, your community, and the people that you have in place. But if you find that you throw a third person into the mix because it's a busier community and this person is wreaking all kinds of havoc, your sales are going to go down again. So because now all of a sudden it's and if there's a whole bunch of that going on, you better break that stuff up right now and put a stop to it, because it's taken their eye off of what they should be focused on doing. So right. Yeah, this stuff, that's not healthy at all. Same thing with if you have a salesperson that you put in a community and then you think that one person could handle it and you find that you have more traffic. Too much traffic is worse actually than not enough. Wait, what did she say? Too much traffic is worse. Because what happens is they don't focus on each individual person. It's the person who comes in waving a check. So your B's and your C's fall through the cracks, even though they're good buyers. But because they're not waving a check at them, then you're not getting that follow through and sticking with that buyer and helping them, and maybe not even giving them great customer service at the same time.
That's how you lose incremental sales.
Yes. That's because you're going to have a next community or a next phase, and markets change and markets shift.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. Yep. So, Melanie, I see what you did there. So she said that's why by appointment only has worked in our favor, because I'm going to be speaking with Melanie too at IBS, and that's what we're going to be talking about on Thursday. I think at 11 o'clock, right? I forget what time, but on Thursday morning, we're going to be talking about that. Yes, by appointment works as long as you don't have salespeople. I want my salespeople scheduling appointments. In fact, I said if I ever go back into on-site sales, what I would do is I would set my own schedule and I would work by appointment, because I know how to work by appointment. And I also know how to drive my own traffic, so I don't have to worry about floor traffic. So when you can do those two things together, you're going to see fewer people, but the quality is going to be higher and you're going to get more sales. So, and yes, you do have to follow up after all of the appointments. Absolutely. So, all right. So setting up teams, personalities matter. I was just working with a builder who had a couple of mishires, and they weren't necessarily mishires because of skill set, but they were mishires because of company culture. So think about your company culture and be aware of your company culture. Make sure you're hiring people. You don't want a bunch of clones, because we all should embrace our differences and be able to bring that to the team. So you don't want people who have the same personality necessarily that you do, but you do want people who are able to integrate with the team and support the team rather than disrupt the team. If you've got somebody who, has, for whatever reason, their own personal issues that they're bringing to the table every day, you find you're spending an inordinate amount of time just talking about this one person, that's time where we maybe need to revisit, even if they're hitting their metrics, how much is it costing the rest of the company? So do think about that. I think so many builders think, oh, it's just a salesperson, I'll just throw them out there and see what sticks. Eventually I'll get one that's hungry enough that they'll make it work. No, salespeople have to be nurtured. And, it's kind of, you're out there on an island by yourself. So when you're on an island by yourself and you don't have the answers and you're not involved in the day-to-day in the office, sometimes you can fill in the gaps there, and maybe not in a way that the builder or the owner would like for it to be filled in.
That's completely right. And I got to tell you, when you're trying to take care of your builder and your builder's trying to figure out company culture, and I was speaking at a conference, a leadership conference in about 3 months ago in Vegas. And that was the big question is, Keith, how do you build company culture? Because everybody says that word company culture, and technically speaking, half the people that say it don't know what the hell it is. Okay. So company culture. The best analogy is, okay, we've all have friends in our early days. You got the one friend that drives like a bat out of hell. Like I swear they drive 80 miles an hour till they get within 2 feet of a car and then they hit the brake and like you are on pins and needles, most of us, the whole ride. But there are a couple of people who love driving like that. They're like, yeah, I'll swing through here. Like that is a culture of fast pace, living on the edge, and that's okay. But most of us rather have like Morgan Freeman from Driving Miss Daisy. We rather have somebody calm, cool, collective, who's driving us around. And if sometimes you can go too slow and you're not sure if that's the culture you want. Like the culture of a company is who's driving the bus, how fast is the bus going, and what activities are
And
we
how
doing
many people
on
are
the
they
bus?
taking out while they're driving?
Yes, while we're going, okay?
We shouldn't
And
be plowing
listen,
people over.
yeah, and some companies like do happy hours and company events every 2 weeks. Well, if somebody really doesn't get into that, then that may not match with the company culture. If some companies, they only do get together once a year, and for a lot of hard driving people that are really financially motivated, I don't need no more than that. Just once a year, let me go do my thing. And that's okay. If that's that company's culture, hire for that culture, so that way you don't ever get people there that are unhappy to be there. And when they get unhappy to be there, that's when performance goes down and they don't want to be held accountable to what you're trying to do. So
Yes.
I had to take that second on understanding, because people always talk about, oh, company culture. You don't even know what that is. Like just you got to look at the company and the people it's already composed of, and how the company was the vision, and get people that match to that vision. That's building good company culture.
Yes. And it's not a 5-minute process. I mean, these are things you need to go really engage in and think about,
Yeah.
and perhaps even hire somebody from the outside, because sometimes that outside perspective helps you to see it a little differently. So absolutely. All right. So I'm going here. So this is another big point that we wanted to make. So outsourcing versus in-house versus an outside real estate company. Go. I'm braced.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. Well, first of all, outsourcing is not new. Like outsourcing has been around for years. And this is where a builder will outsource their sales and the staffing of a model or a spec home or anything to a realtor or somebody else that is on the outside of their organization. So this is not new. It's been around for years. Most successfully, real estate agents that like new home sales have marketed themselves to builders, particularly custom builders that might have one community, or they build 10 custom homes or something like that. And builders value the people who are bringing customers. Now, but when builders do that, they are willing to sacrifice the people that walk in the door to be completely at the discretion of the real estate company that's there, meaning the real estate company can service them in any way they want to. But for a custom builder or a lower volume builder, that all works. Now, you go to our bigger builders, it's a little bit harder to get them to get on that same train. So therein becomes their options is an in-house, because they got more control. What our company has done is the scalability, as I said before, is when you have a bigger builder that's trying to scale, they could never understand how they could do that. And through certain companies that figure out a model, then they're more interested in it. Because listen, builders, if a builder could have a setup where they don't manage salespeople, trust me, they would take it. But they don't want to lose control, and they don't want to lose the ability to hold accountability. And so, in the lack of those two things, it opens the door for these three options. So outsourcing has always been around, but as builders get bigger and their business becomes more important, and more important in terms of hitting volume numbers for their investors and hitting all those critical numbers, that's when they get nervous and they feel like, okay, I have to control this. And the outsourcing thing turns more in-house. So I hope I politically as I could
I'm
answered
impressed.
that.
I am very impressed. So in the interest of time, we could do a whole hour on this, but in the interest of time, I'm going to tell you one thing: whatever source you choose, make sure that source is dedicated only to you. So if you're just going and you're hiring a general real, and I work with general realtors, I train general realtors all the time. It's a different skill set. It's a totally different thing. And if you expect a general real estate agent who does used homes, who does resale, to sell your new homes, like you're not in the real estate business, you're in the home building business, and they're two different things. So, but there are options, is what Keith is saying. So, and it depends on each builder. Leah and I worked with a builder last year who had general real estate agents, couldn't get any sales, in 2020. I mean, when sales are all around him, we're going, and I'm like, you got a sales problem. This isn't a marketing problem. It's not a price, product, position problem. You got a sales problem here. And we hired 2 new salespeople and put them in place, and boom, sales problem resolved. Now it's hey, can I build all these problem, which everybody else was having because of supply, right? So you got to have somebody who's dedicated to you. So whether you choose a real estate company that does this for you, which I know in a lot of our markets, that's a very viable, how are they going to hold those salespeople accountable? How are they going to do all of these things? And how do they handle anybody who may not be your buyer or your buyer right now? Because if the answer is, I'm going to take them and go show them used homes, no, wrong. That is not it. So whether they're in-house, whether they're an outsource, whether you're using a company like New Home Star, or you're using that third-party real estate company to manage them, you still have to do all the same stuff. I mean, Keith's company, that's what they do. They have to do all of these same things that we're talking about. They're just doing them for a couple of, for quite a few different builders, not just one. So that's as short and concise as I can keep that one. So, when you go to like different brokerages, and I totally agree with you. There's clashing. The real estate and that company that you hire, if you do outsource, doesn't define your culture, doesn't define your expectation. You have to have that clearly mapped out ahead of time. And you still have to have those key metrics. I mean, I work with builders who outsource varying things. We still measure metrics. And whether it's outsourced or not, are the metrics being met? Are the expectations being met? So,
funny thing is, builders are outsourcing already because they outsource the plumbing, the electrical, the concrete. Their whole business is outsourcing. So but when it's the most important, when it's the heartbeat of your organization, and it becomes the main driver of everything you want to do in your organization, it just becomes a little bit more important that you want to keep it in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always pro in-house if the builder has the structure to support it. If it's a builder owner who is not going to manage the salespeople and let them run, you hire somebody to do that. And you can outsource sales management. Case I do that frequently for builders. So you can outsource that if that's something that you need somebody else to manage, but you're not quite big enough to manage, or like go hire the whole company that's going to manage it and put the people in place. So that's their job. So there's lots of choices that you have here. We are at the top of the hour. I knew we were going to have trouble getting through this, but we'd be remiss because we did say for general realtors, so this is the bonus. So if those of you who do have to jump off because it's the top of the hour, I get it. We'll send the video out and you can catch up on this segment of it. But Keith, you got a few minutes and we can get through this last point.
I'm good.
All right, let's go ahead and let's talk about creating a fantastic outside sales force with general realtors.
Yeah, so anybody has been to a marketing class has heard the number one traffic driver of marketing is word of mouth. The easiest way I could explain VIP realtor list is the builder's mouth. Like that is your word of mouth, because we can put up billboards and signs and everything else, But if you create a team of realtors where their whole job every day they wake up is to go get in front of people and create buyers, you create this VIP list of a bunch of those folks. That is the best word of mouth marketing that a builder can do. And when you have a realtor group like Kimberly leads that is specifically geared towards new home sales, then why in the heck would you not go make them a VIP realtor and put together a program that allows you to maximize this VIP realtor group? So like trying to condense, like that VIP list of agents is your word of mouth. That is they're your ambassadors out into the field that are speaking where you can't go. Like they're going to be in places at networking events, at hosting different events where you're not going to be there. But if you have them as a VIP agent, they're speaking of you in places when you're not able to be there.
Yeah, the clash I think that we have as builders with general real estate agents are dealing with those who are not educated. They don't know the process. So don't worry about those people unless you want to try to cultivate them and educate them. So great, we should be building our VIP list. But a VIP to me is someone who has already become a raving fan of your company. They are going to bring you 2 deals a year. And as a salesperson, I have them on my phone, right? And I call them up and I'm just Kimberly. I don't have to be Kimberly Mackey. I'm Kimberly. They know exactly who it is. You know, I'm invited to the weddings. I'm invited to Christmas events. I'm invited to this because we know each other that well. They're going to bring me 2 deals a year.
And when you're invited, you go.
Oh, absolutely.
By the way.
Yes, of course. And so from however many years ago I was on the floor, we don't even want to talk about that because, you know, I started when I was 5. But I have realtor VIPs that I am still in close contact with them and their family and their kids. And our kids have grown up together. And, you know, I could still pick up the phone if I happen to be in the Tampa market and I'm out at one of my builders. I could still pick up the phone and call them up and go, hey, Nancy, I have this home out here that needs a family to love it. So, you know, it suits this type of lifestyle. It has this, it has that, you know, it has this many. Who are you working with that would love a home like this? And they'll be there. They'll bring me a buyer. I know they'll bring me a buyer. So these were, and you don't need huge numbers. So I'm going to give you another one of my formulas. I did my 10-5-2-1 formula. The other one is 25 times 2 equals 50. 25 times 2 equals 50. This is not new math. It is not hard. So you don't need thousands of VIPs. If you want 50 sales a year, you need 25 realtors who are going to bring you 2 deals a year. And that's before any walk-in traffic. That's before any referrals. That's before any builder traffic. That's a pretty good way to start January 1.
That's a great way.
So cultivate, but building a relationship is hard. This is why most on-sites don't do it. There's a million techniques that you can use to build those relationships, but it doesn't really matter. Just do it. Just spend time with people, get to know them and support each other's business, and you'll grow those relationships over time. So if your number is not 50, your builder can't sustain 50 for each salesperson, do 10, 15, do 5.
Start somewhere. But you got to start. You got to start somewhere, and you got to start 25. And Kimberly just gave you a metric, 25 times 2. Like you can put that on your sales team. And now if they hit 15 this year, that's 30. I don't know about you, but as a sales leader, I'll take an extra 30 sales.
Sure.
Hey.
Profitable sales with people who run errands for you and babysit kids and help you when things don't go as well as we'd like them to go, to explain it because they get it. They're educated. They're raving fans. We don't need to deal with those realtors who are trying to tear us down and pick us apart. And you don't have to when you have VIPs.
Nope. Totally understood.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, so many points. This should be a required viewing for every new person.
Like we should tell the NAHB this is required, like part of the freaking CSP program or something. This was good.
This was fantastic. So I'll get the video out to everybody. Thank you all. And thank you. Wow. So many of you stayed on for us too. I appreciate you taking the extra 6 or 7 minutes here. We'll get the recording out to you as soon as possible. And of course, if Keith and I can be of assistance, feel free. See us live and in person at the Builder Show. We'd love to meet you in person.
We would love to see you all.
Yeah, come up, introduce yourself for sure. All right, I will see you in a couple of weeks, my friend.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
All right, take care, everybody. Stay safe out there.
We'll see you, everybody.